What drives a man to challenge the chaos of nature for a standard that seems out of reach? While the world relied on the mercy of the harvest, Krug chose audacity. The audacity to believe that luxury isn't about getting lucky with a good year, it's about producing perfection every single time. Welcome to Avu Wine Stories. My name is Laura. Today, we are stepping inside a library of wines that spans decades to discover the vision that changed history. We'll see why, for the true connoisseur, Krug stands as the ultimate benchmark of luxury champagne. At Maison Krug's historic home in Reims, a dark cherry personal notebook is kept with great care. It is more than a relic. It holds the idea that would shape Krug. But long before this vision was committed to paper, it was slowly taking shape in the mind of a young bookkeeper living far from France. Joseph Krug was born in Mainz in 1800 on the banks of the Rhine. He was not born into vineyards, but into the disciplined world of numbers. As a gifted accountant with a sharp mind, he sought a life beyond the limits of his home. By 1834, his talent had carried him to France and soon to the heart of Champagne. He joined the prestigious House of Jacques, where his skill with ledgers gave him a front-row seat to the region's greatest problem. In the 19th century, Champagne lived at the mercy of the weather. A difficult growing season could compromise a vintage. The accepted wisdom was simply to accept nature's verdict. But Joseph Krug believed that pleasure should not be a gamble. He was convinced that a house should offer the very best champagne every year, regardless of the climate. He began to imagine a radical solution to build an extensive library of reserve wines. By storing the finest wines from different years and distinct plots, he could blend the strengths of the past to stabilize the character of the present. In 1843, at an age when many would cling to security, Joseph walked away from his comfortable status to prove this vision. He founded Krug, I see, with a singular ambition, to create the most generous expression of champagne every single year. 5 years later, in 1848, he committed this philosophy to the pages of that dark cherry notebook. With the foundations of his house laid in 1843, Joseph Krug began to practice the vision he had so carefully defined. While the rhythm of the region was traditionally dictated by the variations of each harvest, Joseph established a different discipline. He declared that a house should create 2 champagnes of the same quality, distinguishing them not by hierarchy, but by purpose. He called his primary creation Cuvée No. 1. This was his boldest innovation, a wine that was not defined by a single year, but by a multitude of them. Alongside this, he created Cuvée No. 2. This was the champagne of circumstances, what is known today as vintage. He crafted this wine only when a specific year had a story distinct enough to stand alone. But in Joseph's philosophy, the vintage did not rank higher than the blend. Both were masterpieces in their own right. He had recorded his principles in the cherry red notebook to ensure they would outlive him, entrusting this wisdom to his son, Paul. But the house's greatest test of endurance arrived with the dawn of the 20th century. In 1914, the vineyards of Champagne had been transformed into a theater of war. Reims became a city under siege, enduring about 1,151 days of heavy bombardment. The Krug estate stood perilously close to the action, a mere 1,500 meters from the German trenches, where the whistle of shells and the vibration of artillery were heard daily. Paul's son, Joseph Krug II, was drafted and captured in September 1914 and detained for nearly 3 years. In his absence, the mantle of leadership fell to his wife, Jean Krug, who steered the house through the fire. Jean Krug moved the work underground. The House of Krug opened its cellars to Reims residents, providing refuge within the Crayères during the bombardments. In 1915, despite the devastation surrounding Reims, the harvest continued and a 1915 cuvée was produced, often remembered as a wartime act of perseverance. In 2015, this cuvée was sold at auction, a story we look forward to sharing with you later in this video. When Joseph II returned in 1917, he found Reims in ruins, but the Krug Crayères were untouched. The 1920s saw survival turn to mastery. the family refined their library of reserve wines, a liquid archive that became the backbone of the Krug style. This era of meticulous blending also produced landmark vintages, such as the legendary 1928, proving Krug could pursue excellence even in a fractured world. Resilience was tested again during the Second World War. Jean joined the resistance, helping Allied airmen escape through clandestine networks. Her defiance led to her arrest by the Gestapo in June 1944. Interned and marked for deportation, she was saved only by the last-minute intervention of the Swedish consul. Post-war Reims was a landscape of recovery. The Krug family focused on two pillars to navigate this era, reaffirming long-standing grower partnerships and drawing on their deep bench of reserve wines to maintain a steady house profile. In the 1960s, the House of Krug entered a new chapter under the complementary leadership of brothers Henri and Remy Krug, who joined the family business in 1962 and 1965, respectively. Together, they further developed the house's legendary library of reserve wines and deepened Krug's practice of vinifying individual plots separately, capturing what the house often describes as a symphony of years. Central to this approach was fermentation in well-seasoned, neutral 205-liter oak casks. These small barrels allow gentle oxygen exchange, enriching texture and longevity without imparting overtly woody flavors, a technique that remains at the heart of Krug's signature depth and richness. That same quest for structure led Henri and Remy Krug to a bold new creation, Krug Rosé. Starting with the 1976 harvest, Henri and Remy reimagined what a rosé could be, shifting the focus from a delicacy to a gastronomic wine with true presence, yet styled with signature Krug elegance. This era of exploration led brothers Remy and Henri Krug to two landmark acquisitions, walled clos, vineyards producing the world's rarest champagnes. In 1971, they acquired Clos du Mesnil, a 1.84-hectare gem in Le Mesnil-sur-Orge, walled since 1698. Meant to supply top Chardonnay for Grand Cuvée, its stellar 1979 harvest inspired a single plot, Single-Year Blonde du Blanc debuted in 1986. Seeking a Pinot Noir match, they found Clos d'Ambonnay in 1991, a 0.68-hectare plot in Ambonnay, walled since 1766, bought in 1994. The inaugural 1995 vintage emerged in 2007 after 12-plus years cellar aging, a potent, terroir-driven Pinot Noir masterpiece. The Golden Age transitioned into a disciplined passing of the torch as Henri Krug entrusted the memory of taste to the next generation, ensuring the language of the cellar remained unbroken. After more than a century of family ownership, the house was briefly acquired by Remy Cointreau before joining LVMH in 1999. This move was a union of guardianship, a bridge that secured the house's most precious asset, its library of reserve wines, while keeping the Krug family at its heart. Today, that pulse beats through Olivier Krug, who carries Joseph's spirit of defiance into the 21st century, blending historical weight with a genuine human warmth. Under his stewardship, the house bridged the gap between Joseph's secret notebook and the digital age. Through the Krug ID and edition numbering, the house introduced a level of transparency, allowing it to demystify the symphony within, uncovering the base harvest, the oldest reserves, and the exact years of cellar aging. Yet, the audacity of Krug continues to seek new horizons. In 2024, the house broke ground on Joseph, a state-of-the-art sustainable winery in Ambonnay. By combining eco-design with landscape harmony, this project ensures that the memory of taste will thrive for generations to come. It stands as a living testament to Joseph's original promise that perfection is never a gamble of the weather, but a standard achieved year after year, unbound by time. At the heart of Krug's technical identity is its one plot, one wine philosophy. Each individual vineyard plot is vinified separately to capture its specific timbre before it is ever considered for a blend. Once clarified, the wines are moved to small stainless steel tanks. This freezes their development, forming a deep reserve library, often described as around 150 reserve wines available for blending, that the house draws upon to help ensure the continuity of Krug Grand Cuvée. The transformation of base wines into a final blend is a highly disciplined ritual led by Krug cellar master Julie Cauville and the house's tasting committee, which includes Olivier Krug. Every morning at 11 a.m., over roughly 6 months following the harvest, the committee convenes behind closed doors to blind taste the wines of the year alongside reserve wines from previous years. In total, they assess around 400 wines and record roughly 5,000 tasting notes before finalizing the blends, building the sensory memory that underpins each new edition of Krug Grand Cuvée. Krug Grand Cuvée is the house's flagship multi-vintage brut champagne, released each year as a numbered edition. It is blended from more than 120 wines drawn from more than 10 different years, and in some editions can approach the high end of that range, spanning well over a decade of reserve material. The composition varies each year, but reserve wines typically make up around 1/3 to nearly half of the final blend, providing depth, consistency, and aromatic richness. The cuvée incorporates all three main champagne grapes, Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, and Pinot Meunier, with proportions that shift by edition. After blending, bottles rest at least 7 years in Krug cellars before release. Grand Cuvée typically shows a deep golden color with a delicate, persistent mousse. Aromas unfold in layers of toasted brioche, citrus zest, ripe peach, honey, marzipan, roasted nuts, and hints of spice and floral tones. Each edition expresses a balance of richness, freshness, and complexity that defines Krug's signature style. Grand Cuvée consistently ranks among the highest-scoring non-vintage champagnes. For example, the 172nd edition has been rated as high as 98 points by Wine Enthusiast and 97 points by both Decanter and James Suckling. Krug Vintage Champagne is the house's single-year statement. Instead of aiming for the multi-year completeness of Grand Cuvée, each release is composed to express the year's own style. Krug frames vintage as the story of a year and stresses that it is not simply the best wines of a good harvest, but the blend that most faithfully captures that year's character. In the glass, Krug Vintage commonly evolves toward a signature spectrum of toasted pastry, roasted nuts, and warm brioche layered over citrus and stone fruit tones, carried by a firm line of acidity and a finish that lengthens with age. Krug assigns each vintage a poetic nickname that acts as a shorthand for its personality. 2002 is Ode to Nature, 2000 is Stormy Indulgence, and other modern benchmarks include 2008 Classic Beauty and 1998, a tribute to Chardonnay. Krug Rosé represents the house's vision of a prestige rosé champagne, complex, gastronomic, and multidimensional, developing notes of red berries, citrus peel, honey, and brioche alongside the house's hallmark tension and generosity. Clos du Mesnil is Krug's purest expression of Chardonnay, a single vineyard blend du Blun, bottled only in exceptional years. The site's chalk and microclimate produce a champagne of laser precision and mineral depth, often described as the vertical counterpart to Krug's broader blends. Vintages such as 2008 and 2002 are particularly celebrated, showing crystalline citrus, green apple, and white flower aromas that evolve into toasted almond, honey, and nougat with age. Clos d'Ambonnet is the mirror image of Clos du Mesnil, an equally rare, single vineyard blend du Noir made entirely from Pinot Noir. Produced only in outstanding years, it is the house's most limited and powerful champagne, combining richness and depth with astonishing refinement. The bouquet tends toward red fruits, kirsch, cocoa, and warm brioche, unfolding into a long, chalk-inflected finish. It is regarded as one of Champagne's finest and rarest cuvées. In 2015, one of the several bottles of 1915 Krug remaining in the house's cellars was sold at a Sotheby's auction in New York for over $116,000 US. The winning lot wasn't just the cuvée. It included a private tasting journey for 4 people to experience that wine and champagne, turning the surviving artifact into a curated moment of shared memory. Krug's most valuable lots are framed as experiences, things you listen to as much as you taste. The house explicitly embraces the idea that sound can change perception, extending pairing beyond food into music, with dedicated music pairings created by a worldwide community of artists to accompany specific cuvées and editions. In recent years, that idea has moved from metaphor to collaboration. Krug partnered with composer Ryuichi Sakamoto on a project tied to the 2008 vintage, with his team traveling to Reims to capture the sounds of Krug, even the silences in the cellar, and translating them into a piece conceived to be experienced with the wine. More recently, Krug teamed up with composer Max Richter, creating original music designed to accompany a trio of 2008 cuvées, positioning each composition as another lens on the same year, one more way to read nuance, structure, tension, and release. This symphonic approach reveals a profound truth that a great vintage is more than a product of nature. It is a testament to the human ability to conduct beauty from the elements. For Krug, perfection is not a matter of luck or weather. It is a score that is rewritten, rehearsed, and played into existence year after year. For those who dream of experiencing these legends firsthand, Avu provides the guidance that matters. We are here to consult, advise, and help you discover the rare opportunity to taste and collect the world's greatest bottles.